Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Discover how to activate manifestation in your life in today's session with Christy Whitman. And she's the founder of the Quantum Success Coaching Academy, Master Certified Law of Attraction Coach, and New York Times bestselling author. And Christy Whitman has been a transformational leader, celebrity coach, and law of attraction expert for the last 23 years, as well as two-time New York Times bestselling author of Having It All and Taming the Alpha Bitch. She's also the author of the international bestsellers, The Desire Factor and Quantum Success. She is also the messenger for a group of ascended masters, known as the Quantum Council of Light. Kirstie and the council have been changing lives through meditations, healings, and teaching quantum energy mastery for over 5 years. She's also the founder of the Quantum Success Coaching Academy, an online law of attraction coach certification program, which has been said to be the most comprehensive coaching certification course. Thank you so much, Kirstie, for being here. And the first question is, what's the biggest secret to manifestation and your success?
Well, both are equal, right? My success is because it's universal. And for me, when I started learning about universal laws about almost 30 years ago now, I really had a different change of perspective and understanding that I have energy that I give out, and how I give energy out, right? What I send out comes back to me. That's law of attraction. But what most people don't talk about is that we're not just sending out energy, we're also holding energy. We're containers of energy, and we're always receiving energy. So we could be receiving energy from our partners or people in traffic or people at work, or even picking up on the collective of energy. It's what we're bringing into our vessel. And a lot of people think about, what am I sending out so I can get something back? But truly, when you come from a place of filling yourself up with what you want to fill up with, for example, the energy of success, when you allow your own consciousness to focus on success. So what is our own consciousness? The words that we say, our words are so important, because the minute we ask, why does this happen? Or why can't I do this? That closes down our energy. And so many people don't even think about the basics of just words. I mean, it says in the Bible, in the beginning, there was the word, right? So words lead to thoughts, thoughts lead to beliefs. All of that leads to emotions and how we feel. And then that leads to the actions we take. All of that really is what we hold in our container. And that's what we're transmitting out. So if you want to say, what's really the secret to manifestation? It's us deciding what energy we want to bring in and hold, so that we're transmitting that out. And so then our universe reflects that back from universal laws. So choose the energy, the mindset, the words, choose how you want to experience your life. Choose the success, choose the abundance, choose the love, choose the support, choose the well-being. And when we choose it, we have our non-physical partners matching us in that choosing.
Thank you so much. That is such an exciting thought. And the question is, how can we do it? How can we actually do that?
Well, like I said, you take these universal, these big principles, how do you ground them and make it practical into our daily lives? And that's what I really do, is I teach people how practical things, when you have a disappointment or you feel ashamed about something, or you're just frustrated, you can't seem to get where you want to go. the first thing we need to look at is, what are we saying? Our words. I did a whole entire program called Watch Your Words, and that you can go to watchyourwords.com. It's actually free. So you can go there the first 10 days. You have videos each day that tell you what not to say. Don't say this, why, and what to say instead. Because just as we shift those languages, just as we shift those words, we feel different. Our energy is more expansive. We're more open. We're more allowing. And that's really the key to it all, is starting with our own words. And the beautiful thing about it is, Lily, it's not about who is the prime minister or who is the president, or it's not about, what my parents did, or it's not about any of that other stuff. It's about our choosing in the moment where we want to focus. And that focus then creates a connection of energy, which then we are a part of. We're a vibrational match to, instead of being in lack. My world began in this industry from taking people out of lack and limitation and bringing them into our divine design of abundance. And when we shift the perspective, the push against, the defend against the lack, and what we're afraid of, what we're worried about, what we're constantly like, oh my God, will I have enough? Am I enough? Do I have what it takes? When we get out of that lack mentality and come into a more neutral, and then beyond, because one of the laws that I talk about is the law of sufficiency and abundance. It's not just the law of abundance. In order to get out of lack, we must find that neutral ground of it coming from. It's like there's three aspects, right? There's lack, there's neutrality, and then there's abundance. And a lot of times it's hard for someone to go all the way from lack, I'm not enough, to, oh, I'm so abundant and I have so many opportunities, right? It's a big jump. So finding that space of, okay, I'm all right in this moment. I'm okay. All is well. Finding that sufficiency. I'm okay for now. Right now, I'm all right. Breathing in, breathing out, right? Finding that neutrality, finding that compassion. Compassion is a neutrality energy. And it's not a feel sorry for me kind of energy. It's I'm neutral to the negative or the perspective I'm having or had, and I'm willing to push a reset button and start over. That doorway opens up for success, abundance, love, support, all those other energies that we do want and we do want to experience.
Wow, that's very very insightful. And how can people go from, let's say, a situation where they have chaos or overwhelm, or they feel like they have nothing, they feel like they have no love, or they have no money, or they have no time, or they're not, overall, they just feel in lack. And how do they actually go into, okay, they can change their words. They can start saying, okay, I feel grateful for what I have, or at least I'm alive and I have my youth and I have my intelligence and I have all these different things. But how can they go from that into actually starting to manifest what they truly desire?
So the book I wrote is called The Desire Factor, and it takes everybody through the actual 7 steps. It's how energy sets up, and they're all universal principles. And it's like a padlock. It's like you have to do it in the right order or the lock doesn't open kind of thing. So the first of those principles is alignment. And we've just been talking about that a little bit, but it's like, what do I want to align with, right? If I'm in a place of not feeling good or not having what I want, I need to focus my shift of consciousness. So how do I do that? I ask people to ask themselves 3 questions. First of all, when you notice that you're focused on something that you don't want or doesn't feel good, ask yourself, what do I want? Most people, if they go, what do I want? I don't know. I know what I don't want. Right. And I've seen this again for decades as a coach. When I ask someone, well, what is it that you want? Well, I don't want to gain weight. I don't want to lose weight. I don't want to lose my partner. We automatically go into the don't want, into the negative, what we're pushing against. It's automatic. So if we know that, then asking ourselves, well, what do I want? What's the opposite? If you know what you don't want, You don't want to be in struggle. You don't want to be in financial despair. You don't want to be alone. You don't want to continue to struggle in your business. You know the things that you don't want. What's the opposite of that? I don't want to struggle. I want to what? I want to have success. I want to have flow, right? That changes the neuroplasticity within the brain, within the biochemistry of our whole entire physical body, just by switching, aligning our thoughts with what I want. What do I want? What do I want? And then the second question is, once you figure out, okay, I want success. Well, why do you want success? Because I want to feel good. I want to feel, right? You got to, what do you want? Why do you want it? What do you want gets the mind going in a different direction. Why you want it gets you thinking, the feeling, the energy in the first place of why you will even want what you want. And then the third question is, how will you feel when you get it? What do you want? Why do you want it? How will you feel when you get it? How do you think having what you want, the partner, the money, the better health, whatever it is, when you get that, it's achieved, you have it, how do you think you're going to feel? Because ultimately, everything we want, it's because we think we're going to feel a certain way when we get there. But how many times, let me ask you this, Lily, how many times have you said, oh, if I just make this amount of money, then I'll be okay, or then I'll be powerful, or then I'll be secure. And then you get there and you went, well, that didn't do it. Maybe it's because I need to make more money. You know, people do that. Well, I'm empty, so maybe I'll have a kid. Oh, well, that didn't do it. Maybe I need another kid. Oh, well, I have this accomplishment or this degree or this reward. That didn't fulfill me. Maybe if I go get another one. And we keep chasing feelings and stuff outside of ourselves, thinking that that thing, that person, that place, that's going to fulfill me. But the key is, the truth is that energy of fulfillment is here now. We can feel and pretend, imagine what it will feel like when we are fulfilled. So what do you want? Why do you want it? How do you want to feel? And then feel that. Start to ask for the feelings. Imagine that energy is available right now, that frequency, because it is, and we just have to allow it. Right? So how do you then allow it becomes the question. That's what focusing on what you want is the next thing. And once we start focusing on what we want and how we want to feel and all that, we're naturally, as human beings, going to go, okay, I want this. Our mind's going to go, yeah, but you don't have that. Right? I want this level of success, or I want this amount of money, or I want this amount of whatever it is, but you don't have it. So the mind, how do you then, and that's the biggest thing with most people, is the awareness of I'm here and I want to be there and there's a gap and I don't know how to get from here to there. To bridge that gap, you need to then work on your joyful expectancy. Continuing to focus on, yes, I don't have it right now. However, I'm okay. Coming back to that neutrality, coming back to that place of this is sufficient for now. I'm okay. And I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to that. That is what I picture and imagine, that or something better. And so I am joyfully expecting that, right? And then you get into if I have it, what would I feel, right? So feeling what the joy, what the abundance, what the success feels like now. Because that is really the key, is that if someone is in lack and they've never felt abundance, right? How do I imagine that? How do I do that? How do you imagine? Picture yourself. Create a picture in your mind, just an image of you satisfied, happy, joyful. Creating that image and really connecting with that self-image in your mind will change your whole entire state. It'll change the way you would think about something, and it will also change the vibration and all the opportunities that come to you by literally us focusing on what we want, why we want it, and how we want to feel, and then feeling that.
Thank you so much. And how do you stop self-sabotage so that when you've gone through all of these steps that you've just explained, and you're able to do all of those, but then you start to self-sabotage because maybe the people around you are starting to think, oh, you're feeling so rich, and look at yourself, and look at this. And how do you kind of stop this self-sabotage and also the sabotage of the people around you who are not, you can say, taught in this technique that you've just shared with us?
Yeah, so that's kind of two different things. Like, how do you deal with people that are being negative or don't see your vision or are in a different place than you are because you know differently, or you're the one that received the desire, not them, right? When we're the one that has that inspiration and we go to tell other people that haven't had that level of inspiration, they're not going to be able to relate with it. So be mindful of who you share it with. That's why coaches are so amazing. That's why I helped develop the coaching industry back in the 90s, because coaching for me changed my life. To be able to have someone hold a space for me to go, I really desire this, and hold possibility, potential. That's what law of attraction coaches do. That's why I've certified over 3,000 coaches with the Quantum Success Coaching Academy, so that we hold space and possibility and potential for people, because most of us don't have that, especially starting out. I have a very supportive life and community now. I didn't have that back then when I started, but I literally would, just focus on, what I wanted, how I want to feel. And then it just started forming. It really did. And that's what happens is we change here and everything else changes. It's an inside out approach instead of that outside in approach. So that negativity that others may have, or the doubts or the fears that they may have, don't share that stuff with them. Be discerning as to who you allow yourself to dream with, because you might be dreaming and have someone very scared and negative because they're just afraid in their own life and they don't want to see you fail. So they might be like, oh, don't do that. You're too old, or you're too young, or you're too this, or you're not enough that. Other people's energy, or other people's like, who are you to do that? Right? That starts again inside with our own consciousness. When someone comes to us and says, oh, who are you to do that? That energy of compassion that I've been talking about, that energy neutralizes. Compassion is a soothing energy. Imagine it's like you're cold and someone wraps a warm blanket around you. That level of that compassion. Or you're super hot and you jump into a pool and you feel that refreshment, right? Or someone just comes over to you and goes, it's okay, and gives you a hug. Or, we can do that to ourselves. We can wrap our arms around ourselves and rub our head and, pat ourselves and just go, it's okay, you're going to be all right. Even rocking yourself, that's somatic. It's going to be okay. Settling and soothing ourselves is absolutely key, because when we can learn to self-soothe in that way from an adult perspective, then anything that anybody says, anybody else's opposing opinions, our own criticisms and judgments, our own doubts and fears, we can settle ourselves with that. Just, it's okay. Right now, right here, breathe in, breathe out. I'm all right. I'm okay. And I'm looking forward to what's coming. Right? So now you're not in the lack, you're in the, it's okay. You're working with the law of sufficiency and abundance. This is sufficient. And then.
Wow. So great. And what I find is that many years ago, I remember that I had next to nothing. And I still somehow started to learn about this law of attraction. I saw The Secret. I was so inspired by Marie Diamond and also some of the other speakers from that movie. And not only that specific movie, but in general, learning about law of attraction from a lot of books. And what I found was a tremendous level of joy and love and excitement, and even when I had nothing. And I really would love for millions more people to experience that, because I think it's sometimes people that are multimillionaires and they don't get to have that. and I don't even know how more people can actually learn how to have it, because I meet on a regular basis so many people, and some of them have nothing and some of them are multimillionaires, but I do see a common thread, which is that most of them don't have access to this information about how you can be you can experience so much love even when you don't have a loved one nearby, or when you don't have a husband or a wife or a partner, and you can still experience so much joy even in the saddest moments, and you can experience still so much belonging even when you're actually alone. Can you tell us more about that, how you feel about this?
Absolutely, because when we're in lack, let's just say that, when we're feeling any level of negative emotion, whether it's from boredom all the way to just I'm resourceless, I have no power here, and everything else in between, those lower level emotions, they drag our energy, but more importantly, they separate us from who we really are, and all of the spiritual energetic support and the flow, or even our soul's energy. Our soul never vibrates or goes below in consciousness compassion. So it's always vibrating. That energetic full support team that we have is always vibrating at compassion or higher. So when we are in despair, the light team is still there, but we can't receive them. And so when we're in that space of, like we've been talking about, we get out of that lack and into that neutrality, into that place of, okay, I'm at least, it's good enough for now. I'm having compassion for myself. That opens the doorway. That allows us to be able to tune in and receive. Because, I get this all the time, Lily, because I help people move through grief and everything. And when someone is in such grief and they're like, I just want to connect with my partner on the other side, or I just want to hear my dad, or I want to hear my mom, or connect in that way. When they're in that level of just absolute despair, their vibrational range is so far off from their loved ones that have just gone into non-physical that they can't hear them. And a lot of times that's what happens when we're so depressed, when we're so down, when we're frustrated, right? But remembering to ask, remembering to go, I'm open to receive, right? I'm open to receive a downpouring of compassion energy from my soul, from my guides, from non-physical, however you want to say that, from the universe, right? That just asking, that allowance, that tuning into, I'm asking to receive peace. I'm asking to receive compassion. We're the initiators. We're in collaboration and partnership with our non-physical. Think of it this way. We all have brilliant minds, and think of it as like a computer, right? We all have files on our computer and, that kind of thing. But that's all we have access to is what's on our computer. Unless we hook up to the internet, now we have access to everything. And that's the way I like to think about myself, is that when I'm in my own mind and I'm not considering or bringing in the energy of the non-physical, then I'm only accessing what's on my computer. But when I access and open up to them, now I have access, I have full infinite wisdom available. So if my little mind can't think of how to do that, when I surrender that and open up, then the hows will come through, because I'm open and I'm not trying to force and figure it out, or I'm not in that type of despair place.
Thank you. What I found is many times in my life is that there were moments when I just felt like I was in the zone, almost like in my genius zone. And I also felt almost like there was this channel that was open, channel of joy and channel of love and self-acceptance and belonging. And it's almost like I was accessing this channel that was not always open. It was hard to access it sometimes, and it's hard to, it was hard to know how to actually plug myself to it. But when I was plugged to it, what I found was that Any exam, I would just ace it. Any, difficult problem, I would just be, finding a solution for it very quickly. Anything that was remotely difficult for other people was so easy for me. And even manifesting to live in a house with a pool for next to nothing is something that I managed to do years ago, and to buy a house with no money. And, so I found that some moments were just so easy to get to that channel of manifestation, you can say. So, and I found that one of the most powerful things that I did was to just be joyful, to be appreciative, to be in gratitude, and to do things that gave me a lot of joy. So what I created was almost like a happiness calendar. So I would put certain fun things that I love to do every single day in my calendar, like salsa dancing, or like swimming, or even having my favorite piece of chocolate. It was little moments of joy. Do you find that something like this, having a joyful habit, is something that you recommend as part of your techniques in order to attract more, to manifest more?
Absolutely. In the Coaching Academy, we have a success checklist, right? And we give like success daily habits. It's daily things that you do that are success. So it could be, for someone, it could be drinking, 2 liters of water a day, right? Or it could be, making sure you go work out 5 days a week, or maybe it's meditating every single day for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Taking something that is and focusing on what are the things that plug me in, right? What are the things that align me, and making sure you consider you and putting those things in your planner. When I'm looking at, and it's interesting you're saying that, when I'm looking at a new month, right? When I'm looking at, okay, so this month is coming up. First thing I do is I put in my success habits, like working out. Right? I put in my meditation time so that it's done, that I have it, it's dedicated, because that is a success habit for me. When I don't hook in through meditation, it's a whole different world. But when I hook into meditation, like I said, now I have access to unlimited potential. Whereas before, I just have access to what's in my own head. And I put that in. I put that in as far as when I'm going to work out. And so the things that that will be good for you to do, whether it's not eating as much sugar, or drinking more water, or working out, or getting to sleep at a decent time, having better sleep habits, these type of things will absolutely, it's like going to the gym, right? When you go to the gym consistently, that's the key. You will build muscle over time, and you will lose weight. When you meditate on a consistent basis, that will have an effect. When you are focused on what is going to make you successful, and those habits that feel good when you do them, that's the key. You don't want to fill up your day with a bunch of stuff you have to do because I have to meditate. You want these things to be, like you were saying, salsa. I have a active wear store that I bought with a girlfriend, and every once in a while, I'll just go over there and I'll just start merchandising and moving clothes around and putting outfits together. And because I love doing that, right? That's something that I just can express joy into. And you want to think about that. It's not only what you're feeling, but it's also what are you expressing out into the world? Because what you send out comes back to you. So when you yourself, in your own energy container, when you're asking, I want to feel and fill up with joy. Imagine that every single cell in your body is like little tiny cups, and they're being filled with joy. When you can feel that, oh my gosh, like your day is so much different. So it's filling up, it's holding that, and doing those things that bring you joy. Because remember, it's all about our consciousness, what we say with our words, what our thoughts are, our emotions, our perspective, and what we do, our actions. And when we can tune into, okay, the words can't doesn't feel good, it limits me. So I'm going to say, I desire to do this. I prefer to do this, right? The thoughts, everything creates from that momentum. And then you continue to feed that momentum by the things that you love to do, by the success habits that you love.
Thank you so much. What about things that were negative that happened in the past? Does repeating that to other people, does that create negative manifestation of more of that? So let's say you were abused, or you were beaten, or you were, I don't know, abused verbally, and then you keep talking about that. Does that kind of create it again in the form of lookalike people?
Well, it reactivates it. Anytime we're talking about something that doesn't feel good, I just did a whole video yesterday. There's so many people in the United States that are just back and forth about, politics and stuff. And one party is, being critical of the other and doing judgment and, all that. And then the other, they're going back, and there's this division instead of this unification. And what unifies all of us is that energy of compassion, instead of the judgment, instead of the criticism, instead of the blame, instead of the regrets and all of that negative lack stuff. Yes, there's traumas. Yeah, we all have traumas, but there's a way to release and let go of those traumas by working with energy and mastering your energy. Because when you master your mind, we have 4 bodies. We have our mental body, our emotional body, our physical body, and then our energy body. And when our mind or our emotions or our physical body is stuck on a certain trauma, there's energy stuck there. And that's what I do, is I help people release those stuck, energies. Because think about it this way. The best way I could describe this is we're going along, we're feeling good or decent, having a good day, having a good emotion, and then something happens. We get some kind of news. We hear someone has passed, or our dog has to, something gets activated. Someone says something negative to us, right? When we have a pain inside of us that hasn't been released, that energy, if we're going along and we haven't felt and processed that sadness, that anger, it gets contained within our body. So it becomes an imprint. And I like to think of it as like a caged lion that's just, it's that energy is moving. It's not just sitting there, right? It's that energy it always has to move. So we now have an imprint or an energetic containment that creates a movement or a vortex. And that vortex then calls to you more things that match that. So if that's like disappointment and you're holding that, oh, that's so disappointing, you're going to be a beacon to more things that bring you and activate that feeling of disappointment. So the traumas can be very easily, I've helped people abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, accidents, brain traumas, all sorts of different things. Those things, that energy that's contained, once it's released, now you're not in any pain. But because think about it this way, if you go out and you get a sunburn, right? And someone comes up to you and goes, "Hi, Lily." You're like, because it's activated, you're burned, right? But if don't have a sunburn, someone walks up to you, "Hey, Lily," that doesn't hurt. Think of it that way. If you've been burned before, right? If you haven't released that, then it's going to get activated. So what about therapy? People go to therapy and they talk about it, right? Well, unless they're releasing the energy of it and they're just in their head replaying the story over and over and over again, it just continues to activate it. It doesn't release it. And the biggest key is not only do you need to release it, you need to bring in something else. Because again, we're a container and we're always holding energy. So if we're holding and focusing on the pain, that whatever amount of space or focus, that we're not focusing on the pleasure. So focusing on pain brings out more pain. Focusing on pleasure brings out more pleasure. So yes, traumas and things, they do impact us, but they don't have to continue to be the thing that we attract because of something that happened when we were 5 or 10 or 15, or we can release it now, bring in a new energy, and therefore live from that new energy, that new consciousness.
Thank you. And last message, what's your message to the world?
We're so powerful. We're so unlimited. And we have absolutely everything at our disposal energetically. We have a full stadium of light, row after row, seat after seat, section after section of beings of light that are there to support us. And when we can align with them, oh boy, it becomes a whole different world. Manifestation, it doesn't mean that you get each and everything you focus on. Sometimes you get even better.
Wow. Great. Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you do, Lily. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.